win, I don't mean to offend. The greatest on the mic, mightiest with the pen. Losing never been a choice, but a line is the same. Ascending, word bending, burns, birth in the gym. Akin to the best, never aiming for less. Opposition so foul, got me calling for rest. Who's next to get bested? Mind, soul, and flesh is antithesis of mess. It's the pressure so free. So long, you better catch a God, throw him the scenes. Dreams manifested, you get what I mean? God always had a plan, he created for me. Success only means that I did what he seen. Got the game and the fans locked in like a key. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Yup, I think we got one.
Hey there.
How you there?
How are you?
I am awesome. And for those of you who've been watching us for a little while, I'm gonna start off right now. I did eat breakfast this morning, so I'm just letting you know I had some food. So watch out there now.
I'm not sure if it's gonna matter, but we'll see. We shall see.
And we have somebody that's joined us again. If you were watching episode 1, we had to run it back. We just didn't feel like that conversation was quite finished. So welcome back, the one, the only Miss Tamara.
Hello. Thank you for having me back.
Well, we're happy. Doing good. How you doing?
That's good.
So, Shell, I mean, we just had a brilliant conversation last time. Where are we going? How does that connect to today? I know we're still in the Uncharted series.
Yeah, season 3 is off and running, y'all. We got some great people, some experts in their field, some authors, some writers, some singers, some dancers, the best moms in the world. I mean, give it up, right? So, Tamara, we are so excited. Huh?
Sometimes all in one person.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Won't he do it?
Can you let me do my intro?
I'm sorry, my bad.
He's the whiz. See, this is what happens when he eats breakfast. He just be unruly and crossing over lines and stuff. We're going to get it together. By the end of the show, we'll be together. Anyway, so Miss Tamara Johnson is back with us. And yes, you're right, Craigie. We had some great conversation around embracing the pivot and navigating being parents. And I know I said great moms. You're a great dad. We have great conversation around how to get these kids from being kids to adults and all those kind of transitions and pivots. And then now we are talking about us. We are talking about us as not only the parents, but us as the solopreneurs, as the entrepreneurs, as the visionaries, as the presidents, CEOs, founders, all the things, all the titles that we wear as we are now embracing who we are on this journey and moving on purpose, in purpose, with purpose, for purpose, all of the purpose things. And what does that look like for us? You know, what is that? What do those transitions look like? And how are we navigating through our own journey and embracing the pivots that we're in? So I'm excited about the conversation. I know the pre-conversations are always on point, and sometimes it's like, we should be recording these. So we started doing that as well. So as you're leading up to the show, hopefully you're connecting and connected with some of the things that you might hear today, so that you can really, really, really feel a part of the conversation and embrace your own pivot. So with that, I'll turn it over to Tamara. So this is kind of a hot topic for you and some things that were on your heart and your mind that you brought to us. So would love for you to share a little bit more about what you mean about embracing the pivot and moving on purpose.
So for me, moving on purpose, of course, purpose implies intent. So with intent, but with intentionality, before you even get to your intentions or whatever, I feel like it's important for you to know your why. You have to know why you're doing something before you do it. Are you doing it for you? Are you doing it for other people? Are you doing it to please others? Are you doing it because that's what God put in your heart to do and you're following his instruction? You have to know your why before you can move with intent, because your why is the starting ground. It's your leap pad, so to speak, before you're moving into whatever it is that you're moving with. And so for me, as it pertains to social media, one of the things that would often frustrate me is that I would be I would feel like I was moving with intention, but not really seeing the results that I wanted to see. Meaning, specifically, engagement in my post, follower numbers, and all of the things that come with being on social media. And one of the things that I had to kind of take a step back and really reassess was, why am I in this space? Why did I start this? Did I start this so that I could be seen, so that the world could see me, so that I could have a platform of look at me? Or did I start this with the purpose and the intention to be an encouragement to women like myself who didn't really have that mother figure in their life that could speak into their life, that could impart wisdom and correction and love and guidance and all the things that I felt was missing from my life? When my mom was alive, we did not have the greatest relationship. And so she wasn't really a nurturer. She was a great provider, but there were times when I needed her to be soft, and I didn't get that. And so that birthed in me that desire of, sometimes you need a soft answer because the world is giving you hard all day long, and you need a soft place to land. And so when I started on my platform, that was my intention, that was my why. But I got caught up in the algorithm of it all. I got caught up in the numbers. I got caught up in the platform, so to speak, of nobody's listening, nobody's watching, nobody cares. Why am I doing this? And Craig, because I would often boohoo to you about, I don't even know if I want to do this anymore because it doesn't seem like anyone is listening. And you would always turn me right back around to, well, why did you start? Why did you decide to do this in the first place? Because the numbers really don't matter. They don't.
Yeah.
Algorithm would have you to believe, it's like, yes, they do, in terms of they count in the space that they count for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they count in the space that they count for, but it has nothing to do with why you're doing what you're doing. If you're doing it for the numbers, you're going to be disappointed. If you're doing it for the likes and the shares, yeah, absolutely.
Because what happens in this society is we kind of conflate numbers with validation. If you have this many numbers, then you're valid, you get the little blue check, you're approved, and people will listen to you. If you don't have the check, ain't nobody listening. We don't know who you are. We don't know if you're credible. We don't know if what you're saying is true or not. And then the other backside of that is, in knowing your audience, you have to understand what you're being called to. Not everyone is being called to the popular platform like the notable people with the blue check. And then come to find out, some people bought their check. So don't get it twisted, people. If you see a blue check on an account does not mean that they earned all of those followers and subscribers. Some of those were paid for. So there's no way that you can verify who is truly authentic. And that depends on you. You have to show up to your space and your platform authentic and being yourself. This is where I'm realizing your people will find you. When you show up ready, when you show up authentically, when you show up with sincerity, the people who need to hear your message will find you. And that's why I say the numbers are irrelevant, because in the reality of my space, of what I do, in ministering to women from all walks of life and all types of backgrounds. If you're a woman, and it's not even just women, I relate more to women, but men can listen to my content too on my Instagram. But I'm talking to people who have been hurt. I'm talking to people who have been traumatized. I'm talking to people who have issues and stuff that most mainstream ministries do not want to talk about. I'm talking to the grieving mother. I'm talking to the grieving father who's lost a child and they don't know what to do with the anger behind their grief. I'm talking to that person. So if all I'm ever going to reach is one person, then I've done my job. And this is why I say I had to realize I can't get caught up with the number of followers. Where it matters to me is when I get that random message of, oh my gosh, I needed this post today that you posted. You really encouraged me. Thank you. When I get a book review and I read it and it says, oh my goodness, this really helped me. Or the personal phone calls that I've got, because not everybody is going to engage online. Some people will tell you face to face or in your ear through the telephone, I saw your post, I listened to your podcast, and this is what it did for me. That's where I then get the validation of, okay, I'm in the space that I'm supposed to be in. I'm in the lane that I'm supposed to be in, and I'm reaching who I'm supposed to reach. So
Yeah.
that intentionality and that moving with intent and being on purpose, I believe it starts with your why.
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Yeah, and I love what you've talked about too, because that captured that thought at the bottom, that don't get caught in the rhythm of the algorithm, because it'll really fool you. It'll put you in a space where, you know, I don't even feel like doing this anymore, because without the why firmly grounded in our minds, we can stop doing it and never return, or the spaces we allow to be in the gaps between the days that we post may cause us to not want to post again, because, oh, no one's listening, because I don't hear it. But I love what you also said. You know, you have to know your audience, and we have to remember that your audience is you. So our audience is us. And if it's something that we know that we feel like the Lord's put on our minds to say and share, then follow that and share. And that's something that keeps me coming back after the weeks. Like, I haven't posted much, unless it's Kesem stuff on by Raising Men, because I find people really get the most response to Raising Men when I'm posting up showing my boys. So there for a while I wouldn't show me, because people really respond to the comments about the kids. But I have to be careful, because if I don't show me, the people who are looking and listening for something that I have said in the past, then they're missing out and I'm not being obedient to Christ. So it's very key that once we really, like you said, to know the why we're doing it, I guess it's the real example of the in season and out of season doing your work.
Yeah.
You know, saying.
Yeah. I
And
think,
know that if you're looking for promotion, if you're in obedience with God, He's naturally going to promote you to the next level. So we have to stop trying to promote ourselves and puff ourselves up so that we can fit in a space where you already have your plot of land. So stay in your land and work the land.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's it too. Some people don't know, they don't know their why, for one. And I find that the women that I work with in my practice and in my business and in the work that I do, sometimes the why is given to a lot of women. We're told, especially the generations before us, Tamara, you know, they're told, oh, you're going to be a mom, you're going to be a wife, you can't work, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And it wasn't that long ago that women's rights were a part of the conversation around why it's important that women are entrepreneurs, why it's important, because we're now speaking for this next generation. We're the example for this next generation. And so it takes a lot of courage to be who you are and to know who you are and to speak that and to walk in that full confidence that no matter what anybody else says, this is my dream. This is what was downloaded to me. This is who I believe I'm supposed to be. And I have to walk in that truth and that authenticity no matter what, because as soon as we let down our guard, or as soon as we allow someone to speak into our lives who we're supposed to be, now I'm giving that person consent, you know, to determine my future. And I don't need someone's consent for me to be me. I don't need that, but I had to learn that because I wanted to be perfect, and I wanted my mom to support me at every event. I wanted my sister friends of 20, 30 years to support me at every event. I wanted. And God was like, I don't care what you want.
Right.
You need to be doing what I'm telling you to do. And when I'm in that space, and I'm in that space right now, I'm preparing for a women's retreat this weekend. And I set a number in my head, and my goal is always to create an intimate setting, but still meet the people where they are, and make sure that the content is landing on good ground, and all of that. And one thing that I've come up with is that whoever wants to be here is going to be here, because what I'm giving and what I'm imparting is not for the faint at heart, no more than what you're giving or what you're imparting is for the faint at heart, or with the things that you're saying, Craig, to encourage men or fathers or sons, is not for the faint at heart. And if you don't want to do the work, I don't want you here anyway. And I'm not, if I beg you to change, right, then I got to beg you to keep you changed. Yes. And I don't have time for that. So I'm learning that when I put out what I'm supposed to do, when I'm in the lane that I'm supposed to be in the lane of, when I'm cultivating my own land and learning how to prune the trees and do all the things, then I get exactly what I asked for. And a lot of times, sometimes more. And that's where I am right now, in that state of more than I asked for, based on what I was thinking I could do. And so I think that's another important point, is like, we're not walking in our own strength when we're in obedience. If I'm walking in my own strength, there's going to be a lot of bills that ain't paid. There's going to be a mortgage that's going to be late, especially in this entrepreneurhoodship. It's going to be a lot of stuff that ain't going to get done because I would be walking in my own strength. But when I rest in knowing my purpose and walking in that truth, I have not been disappointed. But it takes time to get there.
It does. It takes, you have to be in it for the long haul. You have to know it's not going to be an instant overnight. And for those who are on social media and it appears like, oh, this person popped up out of nowhere, something that my mom taught me at a very young age, in terms of when you are looking at yourself and you're comparing yourself to others and what they have and what you don't have. And she always used to preach in the house, do not ever look at what somebody else has and begrudge them for it, because you don't know what they did to get it. You do not know what they had to do to get where they're at. And that could be taken several different ways, meaning you don't know the work that they had to put in, the blood, sweat, and tears that it required for them to get to that level, or you don't know who they robbed, steal, killed, and destroyed to get what they had. So it could go either way. Of just because it's glittering doesn't mean that it's gold. Just because it looks like, oh, that looks like I could do that, that's easy. And then you get into it and you realize, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, there's one thing about turning on a camera and talking, but do you know how to talk to a camera in such a way where you forget that the camera is on and you're talking to the person that's on the other side?
That's right.
So much so that they feel like that video was specifically meant for them. That is skill. That requires authenticity. That requires vulnerability from you, because the message is coming from you. So when I turn my camera on, what y'all get, the finished product that you get on the back end of one of my videos or a podcast, you don't know how many takes that I had to, Jesus, oh, no, Tamara, that's, no. Or you don't hear the conversations of a certain Craig Carlisle when I send him a soundbite and he says to me, who in the heck is that? That ain't you. Why are you talking like that? That don't even sound like you. Do it over. How many times have I had to do it over because a certain Carlisle man in my life was like, I sound like the Tamara that I know. Where is the stats? You sound like this. You sound like that. You sound like everything but who I know. And then I'm just like, I'm trying to be professional. And he's like, yeah, but we're losing your essence.
I don't know who she's talking about. So it wasn't me.
You know, you can fake the funk all day long, but Michelle and I know who we're talking about, don't we?
Listen.
I change my name down here in the bottom. My name's gonna be something else. Hold on.
Okay.
Well, while he's trying to figure out who he wants to be. Oh, your name is Joe. Okay.
Right.
I told y'all it don't matter if he eat or not. This is what you see is what you get.
What you get.
Joe is now here with us on the Knight and Craig and Joe show. Jesus help us. But you're absolutely right. I have to be so careful.
I
I'm
love
gonna
it
tell you
when you
that my
picture your
daughter.
words.
I'm gonna tell you a story that my daughter told me. And when I say right hand of God, y'all know. We were scrolling through some social media, and she wanted to post some videos for her birthday. So we were scrolling through, and because I don't let her post all the time, she's turning 10, and she wanted to redo some of the videos that she had done before. So I said, okay, no problem. So we're approving the videos and put them on YouTube and all of that. And she noticed my hairstyle, and she noticed the conversation that I was having. And then after we got done with that, we were scrolling through social media, and she noticed some people that we know who also were doing videos and had a similar hairstyle and was saying the same thing I was saying 3 years ago.
Mm.
And she was like, she said, Mom, I think that you're going to have to break up with some of your friends.
Ooh.
And I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, I think you're going to have to break up with some of your friends. And oh, by the way, that weekend, we were going to see Inside Out 2, right? Y'all know about Inside Out.
Yes, I
And
saw it. Yes.
it's so, girl, how many messages?
Listen,
How
listen.
many messages? Okay. So we hadn't seen that yet, but she was
Mhm.
making some bracelets to prepare for that. And she was the new characters, some of them, one of them is Envy. And she said, I think that you're going to have to break up with some of your friends because I think that there's some envy.
Mm.
And she said, and they're a distraction for you.
Mm.
She said, they're a distraction for you. And she said, it's going to be hard for you to break away from them. She said, but you have to because they're a distraction for you.
Wow.
She's 10.
Out of the mouth of
And
babes.
and I said to her, I said, it's so interesting that you say that, Caitlin, because now this is like the third time. This is confirmation in threes. Okay. Confirmation in threes. A reevaluated my circle was the first thing, right? That was downloaded to me. My
Yeah.
circle is small and I'm okay. I'm okay to stand in the middle of my circle alone because of
Yeah.
what we're talking about here, moving on purpose. And I ain't got
Yes.
time for distractions. Don't mean I can't love you. Craigie, you and
Right.
I have had many conversations on our previous episodes about some of this stuff. So this is not new. This is not
Right.
new. Second word came, I was prophesied to. There's some people in your circle that are jealous. I don't know who they are, but you need to reevaluate your circle. They can't go where you're going. Da 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 da. Confirmation from what I had already heard.
Mm-hmm.
Now, several months later on this journey, the baby speaks. I said, okay, I can't ignore it. So, Lord, what do I need to be doing differently? Because I've already stopped some invitations. Craig will tell you, I uninvited some people to some very special, significant
Okay.
events.
So
I uninvited.
I have
I,
questions.
okay, they're coming. I uninvited some people, family and friends, because
Yes.
I recognize the power of my purpose. I recognize the conversation of my purpose. I recognize when I ignore the ickiness when I'm pursuing my purpose. My eyes are open. I don't have to speak on everything, but I'm seeing and I'm sensing and I'm feeling. And I be doggone. I
Yeah.
be doggone. Craig, let Tyrone cuss for a minute, but I be doggone if I let anybody destroy the
Yes.
promise or
Yes.
inhibit or prevent
Yes.
me or stop me or distract me from doing
Yes.
what I know I am called to do.
Yes.
So
Come on with it.
when I post a video, it is with intentionality. I don't got to be on there every
Yes.
single day because who
Right.
needs to see is going to see it. When I post
Yes.
a quote that is literally has
Yes.
awakened me at 3 a.m. in the morning, and the
Absolutely.
Lord is saying, grab your phone. Oh, you're not going to grab your
Yes.
phone? Okay.
Yes.
And then in the morning, it's gone because I didn't grab my phone. I have
Right.
to deal with that. I don't need no
Yes.
consequences from him. I
Oh
don't
my
need any
God.
consequences with him. And so I've learned that. So when you're talking about what your mom said and what I said to myself is,
Yeah.
I don't know what this other person is going through, but I know you can't be me. And I know that when you
Yeah.
try to be me, it ain't going to work because what's for
It's
me
not
is
gonna
for
look the
me.
same. It ain't gonna
But
sound
what
the
I'm
same.
not going to do, but what I'm not going to do is allow you to distract me from being me while you trying to be
Yes.
me.
You better say it. You better
I'm not
say
gonna
that.
do it. Not in this season, and not in any
No.
season to come, because I've already lived that,
Yeah.
and I had to overcome that.
Yes.
And it is a lonely journey sometimes of
Yes.
isolation when you are on the path that you are on, to your way to purpose and fulfilling your purpose as you're on
Yes.
your way to that final manifestation. I've been talking about this for years. Manifestation is it was already happening. It's here. We cannot
Yes.
afford to be distracted. So you got to break up with the friends. You got to
Yeah.
break up with the family. You got to do
Yeah.
what you have to do. In love and kindness have I drawn thee. This is not about me being arrogant. This is not about me being better than anybody else. It's about me recognizing my own worth and my own value that I
Right.
refuse to let you step on because I'm distracted.
Right.
I'm not that hard up for a
Ooh.
friend. I'm not that hard up for another sister. I got six
Right.
of them. I'm not
Yeah.
that hard up for a sister friend. I have plenty. I have
Yeah.
more than enough. But this is a season of breakup in order to reach your purpose.
Ooh. I mean, there's so much to unpack here. There's so
Oh,
much because
questions.
what I'm hearing is, and correct me if I'm wrong, when you talk about knowing your power, right? There's a harnessing. You have to
That's my
harness
word.
that.
That's my word. Yes.
You have to harness it. I'm what's coming to my mind, sword in the stone. This is what I love this analogy for me. When you watch the movie The Sword in the Stone, you see this skinny, scraggly little boy Arthur who was just he was just a gopher. Go get this, go get that, da 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 da. And they're sending him every kind of which way, and nobody considers him. Nobody thinks much of him because he's not significant.
Yeah.
And then he comes upon this sword in the stone, and everybody who walked up to that sword tried to pull it out of the stone, and it wouldn't budge. And here comes little Arthur that weighed what, 2 pennies? And
Mm-hmm.
he
Mm-hmm.
pulls the
Mm-hmm.
sword out of the stone. And it's because it's him. He's been chosen. The problem
Yeah.
is that he had not harnessed his power yet because he didn't even recognize the power that he was carrying. And so he
Yes.
had to learn how to wield that sword. He had to learn how to harness all of that power before he could be
Mm-hmm.
effective with that sword. But the sword was his.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm hearing you say in
Mm-hmm.
you're recognizing I got to break up with some people. I have to uninvited. Can we unpack the uninvited portion? Because I
Mm-hmm.
hear what you're saying and it makes total sense. But for the sake of the viewers, what does that conversation sound like? Can you give us some language around how do you uninvite someone without it becoming, oh, she thinks she better than that. And let me just preface this. When you have to have difficult conversations,
Mm-hmm.
you have to say it in truth and in love,
Yes.
but you are not responsible for how it lands on the other person. It is not your job. Let me look at the camera. It is not your job to regulate other people's emotions. So
No.
when you say it with your chest and you say what you have to say it in love. Be clear, be abundantly clear. But after you have said the words, it lands how it lands. You're not responsible for how they receive it. You're only responsible for making sure that you communicated it effectively. Am I right
In
or
love.
wrong?
And in love. And in love.
And in
Absolutely.
love. Always lead with love, okay? It covers a multitude, trust, okay?
Yeah.
But can you give us some language on what does that conversation sound like in real life?
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you for challenging that. It's one of the conversations that I had. It was a difficult conversation, but in truth, I had invited the people to come to an event before, and
Okay.
they told me, oh, well, I probably won't be able to make it. Now, in between there was a whole lot of stuff that happened. It was a weekend of events. There was attitudes that flared. And I personally felt abused. I felt taken for granted. I felt disrespected. I felt dishonored. And I felt belittled
Mm,
um, and truly hurt. because what I was doing for these people was truly an act of love. And yes, it was a business transaction, but it was also an act of love to make it the very best that it could be. So when all that happened and you tell me, no, I have something else to do, okay, that's fine, no problem. So the day came for the event, and this person came to me and said, are we still on for this afternoon? And I said, no, we're not.
Mm.
I
Wow.
said, you told me you had plans. I moved forward with a different plan. And so then it was like, okay. And
Right.
so we're not coming over. And I said, no, you're not. And that was the end of that conversation in that particular moment. And I said, we can talk more about it later. That was the end of the conversation. 2 days
Okay.
later, I had a face-to-face conversation with this person. And I said, you might have noticed that my behavior and my demeanor and even my attitude is a little different. I said, and let me tell you why. And I went down the list of, I felt belittled, I felt disrespected, I felt like I was a thief and a liar in my own home. And I said, and I will not, this is the conversation. I've never given anyone permission to think that about me. I have shown up as my authentic self. And if I did, when I did steal when I was a teenager, I have repented from that so many times, and the Lord put the fear of the police and everybody else inside of me to never steal again. I've never stolen anything again from that point forward. So I am no longer that person. I have shown you, I have told you, I have proven to you, I have been consistent, and I will not invite that spirit and that attitude into my own home. I said I would be a negligent parent.
Yeah.
I would be a ignorant wife.
Yeah.
And I would be dishonoring all of who I have worked to become so hard to become. If I invite you to sit at my table and pretend or engage in conversation with someone that I know knowingly feels the way that not only you showed me, but that you said to me. So no, you're not invited. And I said, and I said, and I said, oh, the other thing I said is, I don't need you to go back to the other person that was offensive also. I don't need you to speak up on my behalf. I said, do not fight my battle. I said, this is my battle. And I said, and I refuse to kiss somebody's butt. I refuse, excuse viewers, I said it. I refuse to kiss somebody's butt. I am not going to bow down to a man, and I am not going to kiss a hand, a foot, or anything else. When I have shown you who I am, and you said that you know who I am, and that is the way you treat me, you're showing me who you are. And Auntie Angela said to me, when a person shows you who they are, believe them. So I believe you. I said, the reason I'm having this conversation with you is so when I show up in this person, you will know that it's not just about that. It is about all of this. It is not just about a drink or a single act. It is about the building up of the acts that have happened. So I will speak up for myself. So please don't try to take this conversation and interpret that for me. This is about me and you. The next conversation is about me and them. Well, I think you should have a conversation with them. I said, no, I'm not. I am not. I'm clear on what it is that I need to do from this day forward. If that behavior shows up again, trust and believe I will deal with it where it happens. And I will deal with it respectfully. I will deal with it from love. And I will deal with it from this conversation of, I've already said what I need to say.
And
so that is how the uninvite happened for that one.
And I love that. And can you please speak on the difference between love and directness? Because I feel like when we're having these uncomfortable conversations that need to be need to be had, a lot of times we let the love part get in the way. And again, we're conflating love with bowing down or being cowed down. Because what you said, everything that you said was direct. But sometimes people hear from their filters, they hear from their wounds, and they misunderstand. They cannot find the love in what you're saying because you're being direct, and you have to be direct because you are basically, you stated a boundary. You put a
Yes.
boundary of saying, "Hey, listen, I will not allow you to cross this fence. I
Mm-hmm.
know who I am. I am assured and confident in who I am, who I've become, the work that I've done, and I will not allow you to come beyond this point." And so I can hear that
Yes.
there's the boundary there and the respect. And basically, you're demanding the respect at that point of, you will respect this boundary line and you will not cross the boundary line. Now, a person listening who is wounded will
Mm-hmm.
completely bypass the love
Mm-hmm.
because and can you please speak to how we can stop doing that when we're having those difficult conversations? How does one in the moment process, okay, there was the boundary? Because I think that takes a level of emotional intelligence, yes,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
to be able to recognize, okay, there's a boundary that Dr. Michelle is giving me, but at the same time, and she's being very direct, but I don't want to, I don't want to miss the love. So can you speak to that?
Yeah, thank you. One of the things that has helped me, downloaded to me many, 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 many years ago when I'm engaging in a crucial conversation with someone is I coined this phrase of I want to risk my relationship to tell you the truth. I
Ooh,
want to
I love
risk
that.
my relationship with you. And the only
Yes.
reason why I'm risking my relationship with you is because I care and I love
Hmm.
you. And there has
Yes.
been a violation of who I am that is
Yes.
now impacting my relationship with you. And you can still be who you are, but I need
Right.
you to understand where I am and you being you,
Yes.
because I'm still going to love you. This particular relationship is a very strong bond, a
Yeah.
family relationship, familial
Yes.
relationship, and one that I wouldn't want to that I don't want to necessarily destroy. But
Right.
I'm learning, listeners, I am learning. And if this person is listening, you know, I'm talking to you. I am learning that even in my extreme, deep love for this person, I don't have the power to change them. And I am not
Right.
giving them the power to change me. So if I don't honor who
Mm,
I am,
mm,
growing,
mm.
learning, developing, becoming, and where I'm going, I already know I can't take my mama. I can't take my dad's already in heaven. I can't take my stepfather. I can't take my husband. I can't take my children. I can't take you. I
Right.
can't take you where I'm going, not because you're not worthy, but because
Right.
it's about me.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
about what
It's
I'm
your
called
journey.
to. And I
Yes.
can't drag you along that journey and expect you to be happy with the bumps and bruises and things that are on this path that I may not even know about. And so
Right.
in that way, I cannot be distracted from what it is that I'm heading to do. And I'm learning that there's a way in love that you could want what's best for me, but you will never know how important it is to me.
Yeah.
You
Right.
can celebrate me, but
Hmm.
and I can celebrate you, but it's personal. And
Yeah.
that
Because
is
it's
where the
yours.
love is. This is
Yeah.
personal. I care enough. I don't want you to be excommunicado from my life. I'm not
Right.
saying I don't love you and I never want to spend time with you, but and
Hmm.
under these circumstances, this right here can never happen again.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is a boundary that I'm setting, because not only did it impact me in this way, if I allow that, I am not walking in my truth with my family, with my kids. The
Right.
generational curse stops with me
Right.
in so
Right.
many ways. And that level of verbal abuse, and I told the person, you may not recognize it as that. I do, because I've
Yeah.
lived that before. So
Yes.
this that's coming up for me right now is a
Hmm.
repeat of a show that I've already watched, and I'm
Right.
done. I'm burnt. I've burnt
Yes.
that tape. This is
Yep.
what it reminds me of. And so not only am I, here's the love too. Not only am I concerned about me in this
Hmm.
situation, I'm concerned about you. Because if this person acts this way in public, what in the world are they doing behind closed doors?
Yes. Yes.
So my love for you is causing me to speak up. I said I was a whistleblower. It's causing me to speak up because I recognize manipulation. I recognize verbal abuse. I recognize the signs of physical abuse. I recognize the signs of sexual abuse. I recognize the trauma response. I recognize it. Why do I recognize it? Because I've experienced it.
Yes. Yeah.
So how I'm concerned about you.
Yeah.
Not that I got this lesson already. I don't know what your journey is going to have to be like, but I don't want you to have to go through what I went through. So whether or not, going back to what you said, Tamara, whether or not you receive this in the love and the concern that I'm giving it to you, I'm only giving it to you because I love you.
Right.
That's the only. If I didn't care, girl, please. I'd be like, I just delete your number. I wouldn't have taken time. I wouldn't have spent my precious time trying to convey a message that is so difficult to you if I didn't care. So that's the love. That's the love. And I won't even say forgive me for being passionate. I'm telling you because I'm passionately involved with you.
Yes.
And what I saw hurt me to my core. What I experienced hurt me to my core.
Yeah.
I don't want that for you. Been there.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. That was so, I think that needed to be said.
Yeah.
That had to be said because a lot of times when we have these types of dialogues, we tend to focus on one side of, no, make your boundaries clear. You got to say your boundaries. You got to do da, 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 da. But the love part, and I'm still on that journey, learning how to say your boundaries in love. And this all fits in. If you're wondering, oh, they took a tangent. No, we did not. We're talking about the personal pivot. We're talking about intentionality. We had said something in our planning session, intent versus impact.
Yes, absolutely.
We talked about that. This is where all of this flows right into that. Intent versus impact. Okay, yeah. The intention is I'm trying to get your attention.
Yes.
I'm trying to alert you to an issue, whether it be a boundary issue, whether it be a personal issue, whether it be whatever the issue is, insert it in there. I am trying to alert you that, hey, something is floating in the water and it ain't sand.
Yeah.
Okay, so are we gonna address the boo-boo in the water? Like, hello, it's right there. Are we gonna just let it float on by, or are we gonna scoop it out and address it for what it is? And yes, Craig, that's an appropriate pace because that's what these types of conversations evoke. The stank of it all.
I was thinking I had a little bit of water in my mouth when the thing went by. I was like,
listen, look.
Boo-boo water.
I can't with you.
Right.
But that's how violent it is. That's how violent it is. When people
the toxicity of keeping that in too, right? Yes.
This is what's making us sick, especially in the Black community. I'm going to say it. This is what is making us sick because we're not willing to address the elephants in the room. We're not willing to address the toxicity levels that are in our family. And we keep trying to cover up the boo-boo water, but it's stinking and it's splashing on everybody. Everybody has had a taste and sip from that cup. We have got to stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop normalizing. I told my mom. It's not right.
It's not.
It's not what we can't do. That's what's making us sick. That's what's making us, cut like, okay, so for real talk, had a conversation with my dear friend at the winery. And you got to be careful of when you ask God to give you good friends. When you ask God to give you people in your life that tell you the truth. And like you said, Dr. Michelle, at the risk of pissing Tamara off. I'm going to tell her the truth.
Yeah.
And my dear friend said to me, you got to take your hands off the scissors, girl. You got to stop with the cutting, because I'm a cutter, like not like on my body, but I will cut you out my life real quick. It don't take much. Okay. And she was like, you have to stop doing that. And I felt so exposed in that moment, because I was like, well, what's the difference between cutting someone off and denying them access, ma'am? Because you just said that you let people access. And she was like, the difference is, I'm going to dress it up, because she said it to me very plain in Sister Girl Talk, if you catch my drift. And she was like, no, denying someone access, you can deny someone access and still love them and still wish them well and still hug their neck and all of the things. She was like, but what you do is I don't F with you no more. Get out my life. I don't know you. Get out my life. I never want to see you again. That's the cutting. And she was like, don't play with me. You have a tendency to just cut. You don't even give any chances. And she's right. She tells no lies. And that is my trauma response. Oh, you're dangerous? You're done. Oh, and she was like, yeah, but you also look for, you guard yourself and you look. I said, yes, I wait patiently for the signs of, okay, I got my hand on the scissors and I'm just waiting for you to do something. Give me a reason to cut.
Reminds me of those old Western movies when they were having this, two guys were going to have a shootout. And they walk and look at each other. Hand, the scissors are in the holster.
Oh, yes.
You get a little whistle in the background.
Yeah. Tumbleweed.
Yeah.
I am Edward Scissorhands.
Few heat waves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edward Scissorhands. No, I rebuked that off of my life. Now I'm coming out of that.
You see, I've been quiet. I'm waiting.
Yeah. Yes. I'm coming out of that. But it's these types of conversations that help us look at ourselves. It helps us go back to the, why do I do that? Because the why is so important, right? We started this conversation off with know your why. Knowing your why doesn't just pertain to the things that you do in your life in terms of your business, your being an entrepreneur, what is your purpose for blood. You got to know why you function the way you function too. Why do I do that? Why do I reach for those scissors? Why am I like this? You have to ask yourself that explorative question so that the Lord can take you through the journey of, let me unpack this with you, Tamara. You still have unhealed wounds, and you are operating out of that wound when you reach for those scissors. So maybe instead of reaching for the scissors, you reach for prayer. You reach for the word of God. You invite me into the dysfunction and ask me the why. Lord, I feel pain here. Where's that coming from? Why am I hurting?
Right.
It's funny you said that.
And that's the thing. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Craig.
I was going to say I take shots every week, and when you self-inject and you're doing it every week, you don't necessarily see the wound on the top.
Right.
Loosely on the surface, you're running your hand up, you don't always feel it. But when you find and you've re-injected a spot that you've already injected a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe sometimes even up to a month ago, you can hit a tender spot of unhealed skin lower below the surface than you had before, and it'll hurt. It'll tell on you. So that makes sense.
That's the thing. I was going to challenge you to say, you want to get to the space and place where you figure out why you did that, why you respond that way. And I know you've done a lot of work, so I don't want to minimize or discount that. But in that moment, what was the trigger? What was the catalyst that put you back in that space where you felt the need to do that? And that's the work that a lot of times we don't want to do. And then, I had two things. That was the first thing. Two things. Second thing is you were talking about the Black community in particular and how we don't address certain things. That was literally a conversation I had with my mom. My mom was furious with me when I told her that our family was dysfunctional. She was mad. Just the fact that I said that.
That's a truth that doesn't go over well.
No. And I was like, this was several years ago. And I was like, we are dysfunctional. I said, and whatever. Anyway, my dad died, family fell apart. We have a whole lot of blended family in our family. I have a blended family. I come from a blended family. My dad was married. He had 7 kids with his first wife. They divorced. Some of those children passed away. So I grew up with 5 older sisters. My oldest sister passed away. So now I have 4 older sisters, grew up with them, or not. They were already grown, so they're old enough to be my parent. Then it's my dad married my mom. She had me and my brother, who my brother are 5 years apart. We're like twins, but we're 5 years apart. So those are her 2 only biological children. And then my mom and my dad adopted my cousins. So they're still my blood, but they adopted my cousins when I was 5. So the 4 of us grew up together. Those are the siblings, just like the other ones that grew up together. We have a bond that's different from the ones that grew up in that house. Then you add my mom's, Craig's brother, Craig's sister, my mom, Craig's dad's sister is my mom. They grew up, their mom died when they were 17 years old. So they split up the kids and the nieces and nephews among the 2 of them and raised those kids as their own. So I have an uncle that is my uncle, but my mom considers him her son. My mom has a niece that she raised that she considers, it's my cousin, but she considers that her daughter. So you add all the parents on the other side of those kids that were taken in, plus all the personalities and the mamas and the daddies and the uncles and all this division in the family. There's bound to be some dysfunction. We didn't recognize it as dysfunction. I didn't recognize, and let me say that because it's not a we. I didn't recognize that the true dysfunction as dysfunction until my dad died. Yeah. When the family literally, he was the glue, he was the patriarch, he died, and people act like they lost their freaking mind.
Yes.
From the siblings to the nieces and nephews to the cousins to the great nieces and nephews. Everybody lost their doggone mind. Right. And there is major dysfunction. And when people started telling the truth of how they really felt, when they started telling, I don't care what you say, you tell the truth at some point when you are angry, when you are upset, because that is a very emotional space. It may not be the truth, but it is your truth. And that is what happened. Some of these people treated my mom like she was a dog on the street. And you think that as her daughter, that I'm not going to be upset? The way my brother was treated, the way that and there's 2, that my dad would say there's 3 sides to every story, your side, their side, and the truth. I'm telling you, these people were telling their truth, and it was devastating. It was devastating because of the division and the dysfunction. So then we started figuring out this one, not any of my siblings, let me make this very clear before I make my next statement. None of my siblings molested or harmed me. None of them. None of them. And I never molested or harmed any of my siblings. But there was some family extended drama where people were being raped and molested and taunted and stalked and all kind of stuff. And as the keeper of some of this knowledge, some of the old heads in the family, why are we not protecting the youth? Why are we not protecting the next generation? Why are you silent that Uncle Jojo did this to Cousin Bootsy? Why are you silent about that? Then you want me to sit up at Christmas dinner and pretend that I don't know this and Kiki and Haha with Uncle Jojo and my babies are in the other room playing with his son who got the same spirit as him. But you quiet? That's dysfunction. Yes. That is wrong. I'm not saying you got to expose Uncle Jojo to the world. But what I'm saying is you should have exposed him and sent his tail to jail when it happened. And what you should be doing is not inviting that freaking dysfunction to your table and then expect everybody to eat and feel good. Okay, my stomach is sick. Yes. My stomach is sick. And I will not perpetuate that in my home. I will not allow that for me again, and I will not allow it on my watch for my children or yours. So if you don't want me to say something, don't bring his tail around, because I'm saying something, because the dysfunction and the generational curse ends with me, and I'm done. Yes, I am passionate. Yes, I'm emotional, because I'm serious. I got carpets all throughout my house, and I don't sweep dirt under my carpets. I pick the carpets up and dust and vacuum and do whatever and mop the floors.
Yes.
I'm not saying I'm the only one that's willing to do that, and I'm not saying I'm gonna be the martyr for the family, but I'm saying if it comes up, I'm saying something, sis. Not on my watch.
Yes.
And this is about moving on purpose also, because those same people will be the ones that will tell you, you ain't nothing, you ain't gonna be nothing, your business is crap, and try to withdraw their hand thinking that that's gonna stop me from doing my dream. No, you ain't gotta come to another doggone event. You ain't gotta say piss in the pool or hi on the email. You don't gotta say nothing, because I am deleting you, and I'm very clear as to why I am doing that. I am not going to allow that level of dysfunction, no level of dysfunction, and no level of toxicity to ruin who God has called me to be and on this journey that I'm on. So hi and bye in the same sentence, not doing it.
It's a hard road to travel.
It is.
Because when you take that stand and you say, no more, I'm not participating with this anymore. You have to really, once again, it goes back to that why and that intentionality. You got to be clear on where your stances are, where your boundaries are, because there's going to be a price.
Yeah.
Okay? There's a heavy price to that. But, you know, I, like you, I spoke out against the abuse that I endured. I feel like I pay that price every day. Because when you, oh my gosh, I'm getting emotional. But that's okay, because we need to have this conversation.
It's cleansing.
When you decide that you no longer want to be the vault for that level of burden and toxicity.
Yes.
And you decide to say the truth. It feels unnatural. It feels like you're betraying your own blood. It feels like you're doing everything wrong because you've been programmed to keep it quiet for so many years, many years. But there comes a point in your life of either you're going to sit with it and allow it to eat you from the inside out, and then now you're manifesting all other kinds of dysfunctions and toxic behaviors and patterns that you just keep asking, why can't I get out of this? Why can't I do this? Why is everything falling apart? Everything I touch falls apart. It's because you're still carrying the secret.
Yes.
And when you finally take that courageous step to say, you know what? I don't want to hold this anymore. I don't want to carry this anymore. You do feel sick to your stomach. Your body has a very visceral, physical, all kinds of reaction to it, because you've been sitting with that stewing, festering, that toxic water has been in your body, doing things to your body physically for years and years and years, or however long that you held the secret. And then you finally let it out. The first time that I spoke of my sexual abuse out loud to another human being, I wanted to throw up. I wanted to throw up. I was nauseous. I didn't understand what was happening to my body, and I felt so wrong, and I felt like I had betrayed the person who abused me, because it was a family member.
Yes.
Somebody that I love, somebody that I trusted, somebody that was never supposed to touch me in that way.
Yes.
And I still grapple with that. I still feel like I have done something wrong. There's so many levels to when you start speaking the truth.
Yes.
And calling a thing, as Iyanla Van Zandt says, let's call a thing a thing.
Yes.
You have to understand that especially when it's a family member, there's a division that has to occur within your mind and within your heart.
Yes.
Because the conflict is it's a family member. If this were a stranger, it's easier to process because I never have to see you again. But to your point, Dr. Michelle, when it's Uncle Joe, when it's cousin Lucy, when it's sister so and so, when it's brother so and you can't get away from them.
Yeah.
Even when you move away, you can't get away from them. Why? Because somebody's always bringing them up. Somebody's always bringing them to the forefront, always asking a question, always letting you know how they're doing, that you didn't want to know, but they just feel like they have to bring that person up because they might know a little bit that there's some dysfunction. And so for their kicks and giggles, they will constantly bring that person to the foreground, not understanding the inner work that you have to do just to be able to hear their name mentioned and not have a physical reaction to it.
Yes.
So when you start, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but you were quiet. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Your truth, you got to understand there's a price tag on that.
Yep.
But I want to also encourage you, when you speak the truth, what you're actually doing is choosing you.
Yes.
And if I have to make a choice, I'm choosing me every time. Because I didn't have a choice when they chose to violate me.
Yes.
I didn't have language.
Yes.
I was 9 years old.
Yes.
I did not have a language. I didn't understand what was going wrong. I didn't even understand that it was wrong. It felt wrong, but how do I process that as a 9-year-old? And then to know that you can't say anything and there's nobody to tell.
Yes.
And so you have to eat that literally.
Yes.
You swallow it and you keep it secret and you keep it hidden because no one can ever know. And then you finally, as an adult, you have to confront that elephant because what you didn't know at 9 years old is that this wound is going to follow you all throughout your life. And you're going to start living through the wound. And so you're going to show up in the world a certain way. And people are going to not understand, why is she so bitey? Why is she so this? Why is he so that? What is wrong with this child? But because they don't understand the secret and the burden that you've been carrying, they just see it as, oh, she's really angry. Oh, she really has an attitude. Oh, she's so loud. Oh, she's so defiant. Oh, she's so this, or oh, she's so quiet. She's so weak. She's so, submissive. You can just, because people react different ways.
Yes.
When you say the truth, and now you have to pay the price. Now they're going to label me as the whistleblower, like you said, the black sheep. Those who are still operating out of their wounds. Oh, she thinks she's better than everybody else. Oh, she thinks and don't let God mess around and heal some of that. And now you are healed and you're living in the land of milk and honey and the blessings are flowing, but the rest of your family is still living in the dysfunction and normalizing dysfunction. So they have chaos and pandemonium and they see you doing well because you did the work, because you showed up for yourself, because you gave it to God, because you laid on God's operating table and said, Lord, I can't carry this anymore. And you gave it to God. He says, you know what? You were never supposed to. My son died on the cross for this very reason. Give that to me. And you trust God enough to give him your brokenness. And instead he gives you your crowns. He gives you righteousness. And he gives you peace. And he gives you joy. And he gives you health. And he restores the wound.
Yes.
And they're going to look at you and they're going to say, oh, she thinks she's better than everybody else because she got that new job. She thinks she's better than everybody else because she got that new house. She thinks she's better than everybody else because she got her husband. She thinks she's better than everybody else because she got her kids. And you don't know the hell that I had to walk through. Literally. To get to some peace.
Yes.
So I feel you when you say, I'm not going to allow you to cross this boundary. because there was a price that I had to pay to get here.
Absolutely.
And if I got to choose between you and me, I'm choosing me.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Love you. Pray for your deliverance. But guess
Absolutely.
what? My love is not enough to get you healed. My love for you and
Sincerely.
my desire to see you whole will never be enough. I am not getting on the cross. Jesus did that already.
Yeah.
I'm not getting on the cross for anybody else. I'm not doing it.
Mm-mm.
I'm gonna drag you to the cross and leave you there because I love you enough to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's thank you for your vulnerability. It's a real thing. And then in that same vein, when we're talking about counting up the costs, I think we have a show either like that or we have a title that's coming up about that. Counting up the costs. I'm often reminded that those same people, Tamara, that want what I got now, and I don't even have half of what I'm going to have. I'm speaking that. I don't even have half of what I'm going to have. But I got a husband. My kids are doing well. We have a home. We have a beautiful property. Da 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 da. All of the material things would not have traded seats with me for one of those relationships or one of those episodes of trauma or one of those episodes of hurt or harm. But you have the nerve. And then if I do drag you or I do try to bring you, then and you get a glimpse or you get whatever, now you think you're better than me. That's where that comes from. I never said I was better, because the truth of the matter is that what downloaded to me was fear of success, meaning that I was not worthy of those things because of the things that happened, because of how I didn't know how to process. So I withdrew. And then there was a portion of my life I was a player, because I'm like, oh, if men can do that, if this man that did that to me can be like that, well, I don't have no respect for marriage. I don't have no respect for a relationship. Not a real one.
Yeah.
Not a real one, because operating out of that hurt. That's another way that hurt people. And so to do the work and to be sincere about the work, that's why I'm not concerned about who shows up at my event or not. This is my message every single time. You have the choice to choose you. First of all, you have the choice to choose. First, you have and secondly, you have the choice to choose you. And you can live and not just be alive, but live beyond this devastation.
Yeah.
There is something on the other side of this, and you may not know what it is. You may not be able to fathom that is going to be better. And I know there's some pessimistic, energy sometimes when bad things keep happening, like, oh, just another bad thing is going to happen, so I might as well stay with this evil, or I might as well stay with this fear, or I might as well stay with this dude or this chick that I know, because it's going to be worse if I leave. No. It's not going to be worse. If you choose you, it's going to be whatever you dream. It's going to be whatever you create. It's going to be whatever you believe is possible if you choose it, and if you do the intentional work to undo and unlearn everything that brought you to this space.
Right.
You have to bless yourself. You have to give yourself the permission to live. And to be alive and to enjoy the goodness, that the growth, that violent process of growth, and the seed and this and giving birth. Birth is violent.
Yes.
Rebirth yourself by renewing your mind, changing your mindset around what happened. It was not your fault, Tamara. It was not my fault. It was a nasty person's fault that had the mind to groom, that had the mind to manipulate, and I was the victim in that scenario. Shame on you, because somebody probably did that to them. I am no longer the victim. I walk in complete victory. I walk in complete restoration, and I choose to walk in that by using my voice to change the narrative about my life and to create to show someone else what is possible for their life if they do what they need to do to be the victor and be on the path of promises and manifest. It doesn't mean that's not going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, but it's possible when you choose to do. When you choose to do you.
Yep. And there's the intention. There's the intention. And the impact goes beyond. When you choose to be intentional, the result of that, good or bad, let me just say that, because some people are intentionally bad, okay? The impact, it does land.
Yeah.
I hope you all understand that. So you have to decide what side of the fence you're going to be on. Are you gonna be intentional on good, and then that way the impact is good and it's giving forth fruit, or are you gonna be intentional on evil, and then you're just gonna reap whatever you sow, you're gonna keep reaping it.
Yeah.
And so you have to even ask yourself that, what do I want to be?
Yep.
Who do I want to be? Who am I showing up as? Why am I gonna run with the victimhood, or am I going to run in victory?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the victory is yours. And understand that when we're saying choose you, we're not saying choose you absent of God, because he chose me first. He chose me. And that says a lot. God chose you too. And so if God chose you for something, if his word is true, which we know it is, and he says that we are set apart, a chosen people, then that means that he's put things inside of you specifically that only you can do, that only you can bring about. I cannot do what Dr. Michelle does because I'm not her. She can't do what I do because she's not me.
Absolutely.
But we can join. We can link arms for part of the journey. And we can do stuff together like what we're doing right here. And we can yes and amen and high five and correct and love and get information we can exchange. I can't do what Craig does.
That's right.
Well, I don't have the beautiful bass baritone voice to get on the the Billy D of it all. I don't possess that. And he can't do what I do because he's not a soprano.
Right.
Okay, but we can link arms and we can collaborate and we can bolster each other's journey and each other's story, and we can support and we can cheer each other on. We can give each other correction when it's needed. We can love each other, and we can agree that we three collectively are not afraid to address the elephants in the room and have uncomfortable conversations on camera in front of an audience of people that we absolutely don't know, and potentially we 100% do know, and they're watching this, to get a message across. But you gotta know why. Why is it important to you? Why does this need to be said? You gotta know that.
So I think as this plane didn't quite land. It's like a helicopter today. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it's like one of them big old bomber jets that's getting refueled in the air. This Uncharted series is still going to be going. Topics like this may have to have a part 3 at some point. I don't know. The Lord does, and He'll direct it. But if you still are searching for your why and you need some help in that manner, email us right here at Knight&Craig@gmail.com. Dr. Michelle is a brilliant coach, brilliant person. Tamara is a brilliant person, brilliant chef, brilliant singer. Everyone can do what we do. If you want to talk to someone, if these resources on this show are not enough, we can direct you to a multitude of other resources.
Oh, we are enough now. We are enough. Now, if it's out of our line of expertise, we have a referral base, but we is enough.
You facts. You're right. My bad. I canceled those words. And if you are following us on social media, continue to follow us, link, like, follow, share, tell a friend about us here on social Instagram and Facebook at Knight&Craig. Man, I tell you what, after some of these shows, I need a nap. I think it's one of them nap days. This one was good and this one was heavy, and I need to go back and rewatch this myself. So we keep watching us, keep sharing. Anybody else on the way out?
I'm grateful for you, Tamara.
I'm grateful for you. And just let it digest. How do you eat an elephant?
One piece
One bite
at a time. Well, I had to go get mine and jerky. I get mine dry again.
Eat lunch, Craig. Eat lunch. Eat lunch.
Love
and
y'all.
Take a nap.
And take a nap. Love y'all. See y'all next week on the Knight&Craig show.
Bye. Thank you.
came to win, I don't mean to offend. The greatest on the mic, mightiest with the pen. Losing never been a choice, but a line is the same. Ascending, word bending verse, birth in the gym. Akin to the best, never aiming for less. Opposition so foul, got me calling for rest. Who's next to get bested? Mind, soul, and flesh is antithesis of mess. It's the verses so clean, so long. You better catch a God throwing the scenes. Dreams manifest, do you get what I mean? God always had a plan, he created for me. Success only means that I did what he seen. Got the game and the fans locked in like a key. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Sitting on the throne with a crown, I'm a king. Yeah, I think we got one.